The lymphatic system, a network of tubes throughout the body that assists in dealing with infection. Think of the lymphatic system like a sewage system, where all the waste products from individual households and businesses are taken away, ready to be filtered and cleaned before any water is returned to circulate. In the body, lymph fluid leaks from the blood vessels into the surrounding tissue. Whilst the circulatory and lymphatic systems are closely related, a key point to remember is that the lymphatic system does not contain blood or red blood cells. It is instead involved in the draining of this lymph fluid. This is filtered through before being emptied back into the bloodstream via lymph nodes. As such, the lymphatic system is responsible for dealing with pathogens and cancer cells, maintaining the body's fluid levels, and removing cellular waste. In addition, it also plays an important fourth role in absorbing fats from the digestive tract. The two major structures to focus on when talking about the lymphatic system are the spleen and the thymus gland. The spleen is that fist-sized organ found in the upper left side of your abdomen, next to your stomach and behind your left ribs. The thymus gland, on the other hand, is found in the chest, between the lungs and behind the breastbone or sternum, just above and in front of your heart. These structures, in addition to the lymph nodes found throughout your body, hold white blood cells known as lymphocytes. When some kind of stimulus is activated, whether that be a pathogen infection, cancer cells, or dead and dying cells, these lymphocytes rapidly multiply and release antibodies in response. These lymphocytes can be broken down into two main categories, which of course, because the body is complicated like that, can be even further broken down. These are the B and T lymphocytes respectively. That's Bravo and Tango for those of you who like to use the phonetic alphabet. Lymphocytes develop in the body's bone marrow. When these cells mature, they exit and circulate in the bloodstream. Some of these lymphocytes travel to the thymus gland and thus are termed T cells. Other cells travel to the spleen, the lymph nodes and other organs such as the adenoids and tonsils and become B cells. Of completely tangential note, many believe that B cells were named as such because lymphocytes mature in the bone marrow. This is actually not the case. The B in B cells comes from the bursa of Fabricius in birds, which you are free to research in your own time. For now, a good way I like to remember this distinction is T for thymus and B for basically everything else. B cells are responsible for making antibodies and are the primary reason why vaccinations help to provide immunity to infectious diseases. B cells have receptors on their surface where antigens attach to. These are used to recognize different antigens and produce antibodies as part of the body's primary and secondary immune responses. The primary response occurs to a new infection. B cells will transition into memory cells and plasma cells. Plasma cells begin making an antibody specific to the particular antigen it is stimulated by, in a process that often takes several days. To make this process quicker, in response to future infections, memory cells will continue to circulate in the bloodstream. As such, when the same antigen is detected, these memory cells change into plasma cells and start producing the specific antibody required. T cells, on the other hand, control the body's immune system response, directly attacking and killing infected and tumorous cells. T cells often require the assistance of other immune cells to become activated, at which point they multiply and specialize into specific T cells. The star of the show is the cytotoxic T cell, or killer T cell. Cytotoxic cells attach to the antigens on infected cells. They then make holes in the infected cell membrane before flooding them with enzymes, resulting in cell death. They are assisted by helper B cells, who do just that and help other cells. Some assist B cells in making antibodies against foreign invaders, whilst others help to activate cytotoxic T cells. There are also regulatory or suppressor T cells. Regulatory T cells make substances that help end your immune system's response to an attack. They help prevent harmful responses such as autoimmunity from occurring. As such, it is organs in the lymphatic system that produces these vital immune cells which circulate in the blood continuously. The blood in our blood vessels is under constant pressure. This is required to push nutrients, fluids, and some cells into the body's tissue to supply them with food, oxygen, and these vital defense cells. Waste products and pathogens that enter through the skin also integrate into this lymph fluid, which is removed by the lymphatic system. When the lymphatic system does not drain fluids from the tissues properly, these tissues swell, appearing puffy and uncomfortable. If the swelling only lasts for a short period, it is termed edema. If it lasts longer, usually more than about 3 months, it is termed lymphedema. It is in this way that the system manages fluid levels in the body. The lymph fluid itself is taken up by smaller vessels known as lymph capillaries. Larger lymphatic vessels contain muscles in their walls as well as valves. The muscles pulsate, assisting the flow of lymph fluid, whilst the valves prevent fluid from flowing the wrong way. These vessels take the lymph to lymph nodes. There are over 700 lymph nodes in the body, with major congregations found in the groin, the inguinal nodes, the armpits, the axillary nodes, and the neck, the cervical nodes. The fluid that arrives in the lymph nodes is checked and filtered. Generally, these nodes are found in chains or groups and are embedded in fatty tissue which lie close to veins and arteries. Bacteria cells, viruses, cancerous cells, or even just their products are picked up from the tissues by cells called macrophages. Those that flow into the lymph are forced to percolate through it. There, lymphocytes can attack and kill the bacteria. More lymphocytes are produced when you have an infection, leading to the swelling of these lymph nodes during an infection. This is why clinicians will often check your neck and armpits if you're feeling particularly unwell. Following this filtration process, the lymph moves into larger lymphatic vessels that join up. The majority of the body's lymph is sorted by the thoracic duct, a large lymph structure found in the body's midline, which drains lymph into the left subclavian vein. The smaller vessel is the right lymphatic duct, which drains lymph from the right upper limb, right side of the thorax, and the right halves of the head and neck into the right subclavian vein. Much of our digestive and respiratory system is lined with lymphatic tissue. This is required as those systems are exposed to the external environment. The most important sites of lymphoid tissues are the intestinal area, known as the Peyer's patch, as well as in the appendix. A new type of fluid, known as chyle, is formed here at the small intestine. Chyle is a combination of lymph and emulsified fats and is drained only by the thoracic duct into the left subclavian vein. From there, lymph and fats are carried around the body in the bloodstream to where they are required. As one might suspect, the lymphatic system plays a key role in clinical diagnosis. As previously mentioned, edema and lymphedema are associated with the lymphatic system. These can be further subdivided into primary and secondary lymphedema. Primary occurs when the lymphatic system has not formed properly and presents itself as a limb or body part swelling, usually at birth, although can occur at later adolescence. Secondary lymphedema occurs when the lymphatic system is damaged by surgery or by some other kind of trauma. When the lymphatic system is functioning in an atypical manner, it plays a role in a number of diseases, including obesity, Crohn's disease, Hodgkin's disease, and tonsillitis. That's all from me, and thank you very much for watching.